Armstrong, and this is Pointless, the quiz show where the lowest scorers are the biggest winners. To stay in the game, our contestants need to score as few points as possible. How do you score as few points as possible? Well, you need to come up with the most obscure answers you can muster. Every single question on Pointless has been asked to 100 people before the show. Can you plumb the depths of your knowledge to find those elusive answers that no one else could think of? So, for example, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many capital cities of Europe as they could, and we found out that 93 of them said London, an obvious answer that would score you a horribly high 93 points. However, only 40 of them said Lisbon, a lesser-known capital city that would score you a respectably low 40 points. Occasionally, there are even some answers that none of our 100 people could name. So, for example, none of them said San Marino. So that would have been a truly pointless capital city that would score you absolutely nothing. So, brilliant. That's what you want. So, let's meet today's players. It's friends, Gail and Marita. Welcome back. It's your second and last chance on the show, so remind us how you did last time.
Well, we got to the semi-final, so we were really surprised and, well, proud of ourselves for doing that well.
Well, best of luck today. I hope you do better.
Thanks.
Brian and Philip, welcome back. It's also your second and last chance on the show. Remind us how you did last time.
I think we got knocked out in the third round.
What was it that did for you?
Cluedo.
Yes, you see.
Yes.
You should stay in more.
I have been.
Well, welcome back and best of luck this afternoon. Sue and Sandra, welcome back. You are also here for your second and last chance on the show. You only made it to round one yesterday. You hoping to do a bit better this time?
That's right. We're hoping to go all the way to the second round.
I'm sure you'll do better than that. Anyway, best of luck. Hope you do much better today.
Thank you.
And our fourth pair today, mother and son, Mohammed and Rabina. How did you get on in the last show?
We got to the second round yesterday. We got done over by ABBA.
You got done over by ABBA. It's not the last time it'll happen, I'm sure. Best of luck. And finally, we've got Phil and Wendy. Welcome to the show. This is your first time. How do you two know each other?
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
Boyfriend.
You're the boy. Obviously, he said. Very good. OK, well, best of luck this afternoon. I hope you do very well indeed. There's one final person I need to introduce to you all, and he is the keeper of all the pointless facts and figures. He is my pointless friend. It's Richard. So, Richard, what have we got lined up this afternoon?
Well, as you say, what I've got here is I've got all the answers to all of our questions. So at the end of each round, I'll go through all the pointless answers. Those are the answers that nobody in our 100 got at all. I'll also go through some of the more obvious answers, you know, the kind of things that would actually score you a huge amount of points, the things you need to stay away from. I think it's worth pointing out that you don't know any of the questions that are coming up on today's show at all. They're as much of a surprise to you as they are to the contestants. So if there's anything you need to know at any point in the show, I'd like to think you would come to me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Richard. Yesterday's finalists, Hugo and Jonathan, failed to win the jackpot of £1,750. We're adding another £1,000. So today's jackpot total is £2,750. Try and find some pointless answers along the way, as each one of those will add £250 to that amount. So, let's play Pointless. In the first round, each of you must give me one answer, and you cannot confer with your partner. You will score 1 point for every one of those 100 people that gave that same answer. And remember, this is pointless, so you're trying to find the least well-known answers and score the fewest points. If anyone gives me an incorrect answer, I'm afraid they will score the maximum 100 points, so do be careful. If you give an incorrect answer, this will happen. Yeah, you really don't want to see that. At the end of the round, your combined score will be totalled up and the highest scoring pair will be eliminated. Only 2 pairs will make it through to our head-to-head semi-final, so the pressure is really on. Our first category is politics. Yippee, they're all saying. OK, so can you decide in your pairs who is going to go first? Once you made your minds up, please, could the first person step up to the podium? So, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Prime Ministers of the UK since 1900 as they could. Richard, can you be more specific than that?
Hard to be too much more specific. Any Prime Minister of the UK in any year since 1900, there have been 21 of them. Essentially, you just need to name a pointless politician, which shouldn't be too hard.
Right, OK. Gail and Marita, before the show, you all drew lots, and today it turns out that you will be starting us off. OK, Gail, give me the most pointless Prime Minister you can think of.
There's a few. I would possibly go for John Major, because he's quite forgettable.
OK, well, you're looking to score as few points as possible. Let's see how many of our 100 people said John Major. That's a correct answer. 69. That means 69 of our 100 people said John Major. In any other quiz, that would be a fantastic answer to give, 69. But this is pointless, where you want to score as few points as possible. On to our next pair. Brian, who are you going to go with?
Well, I'm just guessing that the more recent ones will be the most popular, so I'm going to go back and go for Campbell Bannerman.
Campbell Bannerman. Well, very well-known Prime Minister there, but let's see how many of our 100 people remembered him. Campbell Bannerman. It's good. Very good, very good. Very good. Well, that means that none of our 100 people said Campbell Bannerman, and it adds £250 to today's jackpot.
Richard?
Yeah, he was the Liberal Prime Minister from 1905 to 1908. He's the only Prime Minister to die in residence at number 10.
On to our next pair. Sue.
I'm going to try for Harold Wilson.
OK, we're looking for British Prime Ministers since 1900. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Harold Wilson. 51. Just over half of them said Harold Wilson. Well, you're safe for now. 69 is the current high score from Gail and Marita. Mohammed, on to you.
This is my best subject. I might not get pointless, but I think I'll get a really low one. I'm guessing you asked a lot of people, and there's two I've got in my mind.
We asked 100.
I'm guessing not a lot of people said it, but I think about some might have. James Callaghan.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said James Callaghan. Oh! Well, Mohammed, as you predicted, some of our people did get James Callaghan, but 28 is a reasonably good score, nice and low. On to our new pair. Wendy, who are you going to go with?
OK, I'm going to go with Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill. Remember, we need the lowest score possible. But OK. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Winston Churchill. Oh! 80. That means 80 of our 100 people said Winston Churchill. We are halfway through the round. Let's see where we are. Brian and Philip, you're doing incredibly well, with the lowest possible score of nothing. But Phil and Wendy, things aren't looking as good for you, as you've got the highest number of points there with 80. On any other game show, as I say, that would be doing pretty well, but this is pointless, where you're looking to score as little as possible. If it stays that way, you could be leaving the show at the end of this round. So we're going to come back up the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Phil, it's your turn. You are the current high scorers of 80, so you've got to try and keep your score this time as low as possible. And we are looking for British Prime Ministers since 1900. You've got to think of the most obscure one you can.
Been having a good think. Obviously, the obvious ones are the ones I keep away from, so I'm going for the person who succeeded Winston Churchill, Clement Attlee.
Clement Attlee. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Clement Attlee. That's a correct answer. Good. 16. Very good. Well, that takes your total up to 96. Richard?
Yeah, Clement Attlee, the post-war Labour Prime Minister, he defeated Churchill, he introduced the NHS and he granted independence to India. You know, that beats introducing a swine flu hotline.
Well, you're still the highest scorers. You've got to hope there are some other high scores to come. Rabina, who are you going to go for?
David Lloyd George.
So you're going to go for Lloyd George. The highest score currently is 96. To guarantee that you go through to round 2, you need to score 67 or less. This red line, that is your safety line. If you are below that red line, you are definitely in the next round. Above that red line, you risk being eliminated. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Lloyd George. It's the right answer. It's good. Oh, very good. Very good. That takes your total up to 51. You're comfortably below the current high score of 96, so you're definitely in the next round. Sandra, the highest current score is Phil and Wendy on 96. So you want to be scoring 44 or less to be absolutely certain of going on. There's the line. There's the line. You want to be below that.
I don't think I can afford to play it safe, so I'm going to take a gamble with a name that's in my head. I'm going to go for Neville Chamberlain.
We're looking for a UK Prime Minister since 1900. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Neville Chamberlain. It's the right answer. You're safe. Very good. Very good. Your total then goes up to 68. Richard?
Yeah, Neville Chamberlain, he was the Conservative Prime Minister from 1937 to 1940. Most famously, just after meeting Hitler, he declared peace for our time. He's the sort of the man who turned down the Beatles of politics.
So, Philip and Brian, on to you. What are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with Harold Macmillan.
Well, 96 is the highest score. I think you're going to be safe there. You have a margin of 95. 95 or less, just to remind you, that's where it is there. Let's see how many people went with Harold Macmillan. Oh, 29. That means 29 of our 100 people said Harold Macmillan, taking your total up to 29. Of course, you had a pointless on the first pass. Marita, the current highest score is 96, which means you'll need to score 26 or less to get through to the next round. We're looking for a UK Prime Minister since 1900. This red line is your safety line. If you come in below that red line, you are definitely through to the next round.
Right. Well, every single Prime Minister I've ever heard of, these guys have said it. Do you know what? I'm just going to, do you know what, we're out anyway, so I'm just going to go with Gordon Brown.
Go with Gordon Brown. Well, let's see if any of our 100 people thought of Gordon Brown. Oh, bad luck. That means 91 people out of our 100 people said Gordon Brown. You had 69, you now have 160. That's bad news for you, but great news for Phil and Wendy. You're now staying in the game. That's the end of round 1, and the losing pair with an appallingly high score of 160, I'm sorry, are Gail and Marita. Richard, if they'd wanted to stay on, what answers should they have gone for?
Well, there were 4 pointless answers. We've already had Henry Campbell Bannerman from Brian. You could have had Arthur Balfour, and if anybody at home is screaming Robert Gascoigne Cecil at the television set, congratulations, that's pointless too, the Marquis of Salisbury.
And who were the most popular? I'm guessing we had Winston Churchill there. I can't imagine
You know
he
what?
was
Churchill was 4th. Gordon Brown was 3rd. Tony Blair beat Brown once again. He was 2nd. And the most memorable Prime Minister, 100 people mentioned, Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher. Of course, how many people got her? 97?
97.
97. Well, fancy. Well, thanks very much for that, Richard. Gail and Marita, that was your second and final chance on the show. You just didn't have the pointless knowledge you needed to win. So I'm afraid we do have to say goodbye. But for the remaining 4 pairs, it's time for round 2. OK, guys, the round 2 category is film. Film. So can you decide amongst yourselves who's going to go first and who's going to go second? OK, right, whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Now remember, Pointless is all about scoring the fewest points possible, so you're looking for the answers the fewest of our 100 people said. So, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many films directed by Steven Spielberg as they could. Can you be more specific than that, Richard?
Yeah, this is films where Spielberg is credited as director, cinema releases, so no TV movies, no short films, no documentaries. And looking down the list, I think this is quite a hard category. There are plenty of pointless answers out there, though. He's made plenty of pointless movies.
So, Brian and Philip, you're first. What are you going to go with?
I do quite like Steven Spielberg, so...
He'll be pleased to hear that.
1941.
Let's see how many of our people said 1941. It's a correct answer. That's an impressively obscure answer. Only 5 of our 100 people said 1941.
Yeah, a really good answer. 1941, a Dan Aykroyd movie from the late 70s. I think I would have said 1941. Well, I wouldn't. I would have said one of the pointless ones because they're written in front of me.
Well, on to Sue and Sandra. Sue, what are you going to go with?
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to go for Always.
Always. If it's incorrect, of course, it will earn you the maximum of 100 points. So let's see how many of our 100 people went with Always. It's the right answer.
Come on. Come on.
That's a great score, but so nearly a pointless. That's so unfair to be so near and so far. Always. Richard?
Always, because a 1989 film with, I think, Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter. You probably know more about it than I would. What's the plot?
It's about a guy that dies.
Oh, sounds great. Oh, well, anyway, look out for it. It sounds like a cracker. On to Mohammed and Rubina. Mohammed, what are you going to go with?
See, now, because they've done so well, I'm going to have to risk it. I'm going to say Amistad. I don't even know if he directed it. I think he did. But I think it's going to be pointless because I just found out recently. Amistad.
Amistad.
Amistad, yeah.
And it has to be a film directed by
I hope so.
Steven Spielberg.
I don't know.
And if it's incorrect, you will score the maximum of 100 points. Amistad. Let's see how many of our 100 people said that. It's a correct answer. Good. Ooh. Oh, it's pointless! So that means none of our 100 people said Amistad, and that adds another £250 to today's jackpot. Amistad, Richard?
Yeah, great answer. It's a 1997 film about slavery, nominated for 4 Oscars.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I knew you had a pointless in you there, and now you've got it. Well done. Phil and Wendy. Phil, what are you going to go for?
Lots of Spielberg films in my head, but all of them are popular. So one I can think of is Close Encounters.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. OK, well, let's see how many of our 100 people went with that. Not bad. Oh. 39. I mean, that's not a terribly high score, but it does, I'm afraid, leave you as the front runners. OK, well, let's see where we are. Mohammed and Rubina, obviously you're doing very well with the lowest score of 0. And Phil and Wendy, I'm afraid things aren't looking that good for you as you have the highest score currently with 39. If things stay that way, you will be leaving the game at the end of this round. So you've got to try and score as little as possible. Try and think of those obscure films. So we're going to come back up the line. Will the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Wendy, your turn. So remember, we're looking for a film directed by Steven Spielberg. What are you going to go with?
All or Nothing. I could have got this completely wrong, but there's something niggling in the back of my head. It's a film called Batteries Not Included, which I pray is a Steven Spielberg film.
Well, if it's a pointless, it would put you very much back in the running. Batteries not included. Let's see how many of our 100 people said that. Oh! Well, unfortunately, that is a wrong answer, which means that you did score the maximum of 100 points. So, yeah, batteries not included. What about that?
I think that's really tough luck. It was exec produced by Steven Spielberg.
Oh.
Wasn't directed by him. It was directed by Matthew Robbins.
You see what it was, Wendy? Your knowledge was too specialist. You know too much for this show. Unfortunately, with 139 points, there's no way anyone can get a higher score than you, so you are definitely out at the end of this round. Even if they score the maximum 100 points, they still won't have as high a score as you. Pointless is all about scoring as low as possible, but our other pairs can still try and find those pointless answers and add more money to the jackpot. So, we move on to Rabina and Mohammed. Rabina, it's your turn. What are you going to go with?
I'm going to go, I hope it's an obvious one, Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. OK, well, let's see how many of our 100 people said Saving Private Ryan. Oh, 13. Well, that was nearly a pointless, but still, it was a very good low score. Sandra and Sue, see if you can find that elusive, pointless answer.
Nothing to lose. Catch me if you can.
So remember, we're looking for a film directed by Steven Spielberg. Let's see how many of our 100 people went with Catch Me If You Can. Very good indeed. That means that none of our 100 people said it, and it adds £250 to today's jackpot. Extremely good film, I thought. What do you say about that,
I thought it was a great film. I'm amazed that was pointless. Leonardo DiCaprio, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, very well chosen. Yeah. Philip, your turn. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm no film buff at all, so I think I'm just going to go for an easy one that I think is a Spielberg one, which is Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Whatever the outcome, you're definitely safe. So remember, we're looking for a film directed by Steven Spielberg. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Jurassic Park. So that means that 25 of our 100 people said Jurassic Park. So at the end of round 2, the losing pair with the highest score are Phil and Wendy. Remember, the aim was to score the lowest number of points possible.
Yeah, we know.
That was a tough one, was it?
We knew the rules, you didn't know the answers.
What else can you tell us about Steven Spielberg and his films?
These are the answers that none of our 100 people could remember. We heard Amistad from Mohammed. We have Catch Me If You Can from Sue. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was pointless. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was pointless.
Really?
Nobody mentioned it at all. Do you want to have a little guess what the three most
popular
the
ones?
worst answers they could have given? We've already had Close Encounters.
E.T.
E.T. was number one, the worst answer you could have given. And number 3 was Jaws.
Well, thanks very much, Richard. OK, Phil and Wendy, you've wasted one of your chances to get through to the pointless final, so we have to say goodbye to you for today, but we'll see you next time for your last chance. But for the remaining 3 pairs, it's time for round 3. The round 3 category is the calendar. The calendar. So, who's going to go first and who's going to go second?
We're last.
Right, whoever's going first, please step up to the podium.
Yeah.
Let's find out what the question's going to be. So, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many animals and elements of the Chinese zodiac as they could. Richard, tell us about that.
Yep, in the Chinese zodiac, there's 12 animals, so that's the year of this, that, or the other. But also every 12 years, the element changes as well. There's 5 of them, so there's 12 animals, and there are 5 elements.
Very good.
Very best of luck.
Remember, you need to score the fewest points, so you need to give the most obscure answer you can. That's the one that the fewest of our 100 people came up with. OK, Brian and Philip, you're first. Brian?
Oh dear, this is... I'm not sure about this at all. Obviously they're animals, so I'm just going to punt for an animal and hope it's...
Remember, if it's wrong, you score 100 points.
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
You're going to go with rabbit. So remember, we're looking for an animal or element of the Chinese zodiac. Let's see how many of our 100 people said rabbit. That's a correct answer. 22. OK, well, that seems a sort of fair sort of score, 22. Let's see how Sue and Sandra do. Sue.
It's not going to be my best subject, I think. I'm going to take a stab at snake.
You're going to go with snake. We're looking for elements or animals from the Chinese zodiac. You're going to go with snake. Let's see how many of our 100 people said snake. It's correct. 43. Mohammed and Rabina. Mohammed.
As always, I've got two in my mind, and I'll take the one which is not my year, but it's one which is quite weird for a Chinese calendar. The pig.
OK, well, let's see how many of our 100 people went with pig. 51. OK, well, let's see where we are. Brian and Philip, you're doing very well with your low score of 22, but Mohammed and Rabina, things aren't looking quite so good for you. You have got our current highest score of 51. If it stays that way, you could be leaving the show at the end of this round. So we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please now take their places at the podium? OK, so we are thinking of elements and animals from the Chinese zodiac. Rabina, it's your turn.
I really haven't got a clue on this one, so I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say rat.
You are currently the high scorers on 51, so you've got to hope that rat is a lovely low score for you. Let's see how many of our 100 people went with rat. $64. That means 64 of our 100 people went with rat, and that takes your total to 115. That is the score not to beat everyone else. Sandra, your turn.
Feeling the pressure, but I'm going to go for hen.
You're going to go for hen. OK, well, you want to score 71 or less, so you don't overtake Rabina and Mohammed's high score of 115. That's the line you want to get to below. Let's see how many of our 100 people said hen. Oh, no! Oh, no, unfortunately, that's a wrong answer, which means that you score the maximum of 100 points. Oh, bad luck. Richard, the hen.
Yeah, there's no year of the hen, I'm sorry.
That takes your score up to 143, which I'm afraid means that you will be eliminated at the end of this round, as no one else can score as high as that. But, Brian and Philip, there's a chance for you maybe to get a pointless answer and add £250 to our jackpot. Philip, what are you going to go with?
Well, I don't think I'll be getting a pointless. I'm going to go with monkey.
Monkey. You're going to go with monkey. Let's see how many of our 100 people went with monkey. 42. Well, it's good enough. That means 42 of our 100 people said monkey. So at the end of round 3, the losing pair with the highest score are Sue and Sandra. Oh, guys, that was so unfortunate.
I just had in my head hen. I was convinced, absolutely convinced. But we've made it as far as the third round, so that's fantastic.
Doing what we intended to come to do.
You have. You could have gone all the way. That's the tough thing. You know, the more obscure you try to be, you know, the nearer you come to risking the highest possible score. Well, we didn't have any pointless answers, so there were no answers that none of our 100 people gave. Richard, what could they have come up with?
Well, I think for the second day in a row, it's really bad luck, because there isn't a year of the hen, but there is a year of the rooster. Hen, of course, being a lady.
Of course.
Rooster being a gentleman, so we can't give it. We'd have chicken sexers up and down the country, up in arms if we gave you that. Everyone mentioned a lot of the animals.
Yes.
The really low points were for the Chinese elements. Those are the ones that change every 12 years. The lowest answers would have been earth, metal, and wood. And the top answer, we've already spectacularly, we've had 2 of the top 3 top answers from Mohammed and Rabina, and yet they've still gone through. They gave us rat and pig, and dog is the second most popular answer. And you and I
yes.
were born in the same year.
Yes.
Sometime in the mid-80s, roughly around
So
the
around then,
we
yes,
were born.
that's one.
We are both, I'm quite proud of this, we're both metal dogs.
We're metal dogs.
Yeah, you and I, my friend, are metal dogs.
Very good, metal dog. My favourite piece on the Monopoly board as well. Well, thanks very much, Richard. Sue and Sandra, that was your second and final chance on the show. You just didn't have the pointless knowledge you needed to win, so I'm afraid we do have to say goodbye. But for the remaining 2 pairs, things are about to get even more exciting as we now enter the head-to-head. Well done. You've made it through to the head-to-head. Now, only 1 pair can make it through to today's final and play for today's jackpot, which currently stands at £3,500. OK, so here's how the head-to-head works. You are now allowed to confer. Each team will take turns to give me an answer, and you'll each have an equal number of turns. The first team that accumulates more than 100 points, or the team that goes over 100 by the most, will lose. So, as always, to stay in the game, you want to score as few points as possible by saying the answers that the fewest number of our 100 people gave. Brian and Philip, you performed best over the first 3 rounds, so not only do you get to decide whether or not you go first, you also get to choose the topic. So you get to choose between the Americas or football. The Americas or football?
I'll go with either. But you've got to be the stronger one.
Well, OK.
OK.
What do you reckon?
I think we'll go for football.
Oh, God.
Football. OK, and would you like to go first or second?
I think you might.
Mohammed's thrilled with football. Yes.
First?
Yeah, go first.
You're going to go first, and it's going to be football. OK, let's play Pointless. OK, so let's find out what the question is. So we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many England football team managers since 1966 as they could. Richard.
We're looking for any of the 14 men who have managed England for at least 1 game since 1966. There are 14 of them, and you've genuinely never seen a list of such sort of disappointed men in your life. This is genuinely a dinner party you wouldn't want to be invited to.
OK, so remember, you don't want to go over 100, so you want to score the lowest number of points each time. OK, Brian and Philip.
I'm going to go for somebody who became extremely unpopular because he left the England football job to manage the Saudis, Don Revie.
Don Revie. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people went with Don Revie. Oh, it's good. 13. 13. Mohammed and Rabina.
Should we just leave now?
We should just
Go
go.
on, you might just, by chance, come up with the name of an England manager.
So.
Football's the worst game in the world. Cricket's the best. I'm a cricket fan and we hate football. It's our worst subject and it came up. What can we say?
Yeah.
Thanks, boys, for choosing this. Is he even I don't know his name. I'm making names up.
Well, I don't think we could do anyway.
OK, you just have to come up with an England football team manager since 1966.
I don't even know if it's real. Just say it. I don't even know.
He's going to let me say it because we don't even know. Brian Clough?
OK, Brian Clough. Remember, if you get it wrong, you will score the maximum of 100 points. And you'll be very close to scoring over 100, which will eliminate you from this round. How many of our 100 people went with Brian Clough?
Oh! Oh, I can't believe that.
Brian Clough. I mean, he'd have liked to have been England manager, I'm sure. Richard?
Yeah, you know, he should have been England manager, and he was a big rival of Don Revie, but he never was, I'm afraid.
OK, Mohammed and Rabina, you have scored the maximum of 100 points, but you could stay in the game. You just have to score pointless answers for the rest of this round.
Yeah, we were just
Good luck
talking.
with that. Brian and Philip, what are you going to go with this time?
You should go with
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, when I was a bit younger, I remember this chap was vilified and called Turnip Head because he failed to take England to the World Cup finals. Graham Taylor.
Graham Taylor.
Yeah.
Why not like that? Let's see how many of our 100 went with Graham Taylor. There's the red line. You want to come below. It's good. 22. Takes your total to 35. OK, Mohammed and Rabina. The only way to stay in the game is to get a pointless answer.
That's not going to happen.
Well, I think I've got one. No, I'm not having. I'm lying. Let's say one which we know is right at least. Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Sven-Göran Eriksson.
It's the only one we know.
Let's see how many of our 100 people went with Sven-Göran Eriksson. So close, bad luck. Yes, you've had 2 turns each, and Mohammed and Rabina, you have gone over 100, and you've scored 161, so I'm afraid you know what that means. Bad luck. That was just a subject that you didn't know.
It's the worst subject I think that could have came up. And in Americas, I probably would have been much better on that one. Like States or something like that, but...
Yeah. Well, you played fantastically earlier. You scored a pointless, and you've been fantastic sports. But, Richard, what should they have gone for?
Well, there were no pointless answers at all. The 3 lowest scoring answers, you'd have to be a bit of a football geek for these. Howard Wilkinson, who was a caretaker boss for 2 games. Peter Taylor, who uniquely never won or drew a single game as England manager. He only played 1, but he lost that. And Joe Mercer, who was briefly the manager in the 70s, but all very, very difficult, I think.
OK, well, thanks very much for that, Richard. Mohammed and Rabina, that was your second and final chance on the show. You got so close, but you just didn't have that pointless knowledge you needed to win your way through to the final. But for Brian and Philip, it's time for our pointless final. Congratulations, Brian and Philip. You've made it to the end of Pointless. You've fought off 4 pairs and get to take home our Pointless trophy. Now you've got a chance to win our Pointless jackpot. So at the end of today's show, the jackpot stands at £3,500. OK, the rules are very simple. To win all that money, all you have to do is find a pointless answer that none of our 100 people could think of. We've had 3 pointless answers today. Brian, you got one of those. All you have to do to win the money is find just 1 more pointless answer. First, you must choose a category from these 3 options. You can go for Canterbury Tales, TV Legends, or International Flags.
TV Legends.
Let's go for the TV.
Yeah? Well, you know more about TV Legends than you know about flags, so let's go for that, yeah? OK.
TV Legends.
TV Legends,
TV
yeah.
Legends.
Yes.
OK, let's find out what the question is. So we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many TV shows starring David Jason as they could. Richard.
Yeah, we're essentially looking for any TV show in which David Jason receives an acting credit. Not shows where he appears as himself, not anything made for the cinema, but voiceover work does count. So where he's a voice in a show, that counts.
Thank you very much, Richard. Well, you now have up to 1 minute to come up with 3 answers. And all you need to win that £3,500 is for just one of those answers to be pointless. Your 60 seconds start now.
Right, I'm thinking of Danger Mouse. That's 1.
Right.
Let's
I'm only thinking of Fools and Horses.
OK,
and
well, I think that'd be 2. What about the one he did with Ronnie Barker? What was the one?
Oh, Open All Hours.
Open All Hours, right. Should we go for that one?
Yeah.
Danger Mouse, Open All Hours. Anything else? Porterhouse Blue, was that him?
Yes.
Was that him? Yeah. Should we go for that?
Yeah.
OK. OK, I think...
OK, there you are.
Yeah.
Actually, stop the clock. OK, what are they going to be?
OK, Danger Mouse, Open All Hours, and Porterhouse Blue.
OK, so let's put those up on the screen. Danger Mouse, Open All Hours and Porterhouse Blue. And remember, the jackpot is £3,500. There's a lot of money to play for. We are looking for TV shows starring David Jason. Let's go through them one by one. Let's see how many of our people said Danger Mouse. This really has to be pointless. The jackpot is £3,500. Oh, it's good. We're looking for a pointless here. It's going down. Look at that. There. Oh, that means 2 of our 100 people said that. So unfortunately, that's not a pointless answer. But you have 2 more chances to win today's jackpot. Let's hope none of our 100 people went with your next answer. Let's see how many said Open All Hours. Remember, we're looking for TV shows starring David Jason. We're looking for a pointless here. Well, down it goes. Oh! I was hoping everybody would be so busy remembering Ronnie Barker there, they'd have forgotten David Jason. Well, I'm sorry, 39 of our 100 went with Open All Hours, so that was not a pointless answer. You only have one final chance to win today's jackpot. Remember, we're looking for TV shows starring David Jason. So, for £3,500, let's see how many of our 100 people went with Porterhouse Blue. A lot riding on this. Come on, down it goes. This has to be a pointless answer. Oh, down it goes. Oh, no! So close. Unfortunately, you didn't manage to find that all-important pointless answer, so you didn't win today's jackpot of £3,500, and that rolls over for our next show. Just as we were waiting there, you said you just thought of another one.
Yeah.
What was that?
Do not adjust your set. I think
Do not adjust your set.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Dear,
yeah.
oh dear. You played fantastically well. You got a pointless earlier on in the game, so a real shame that you came so close. 2 of those, I mean, you had 2 and 3 there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Such bad luck. Well, Richard.
Well, David Jason was in Do Not Adjust Your Set. It's a very obscure answer, but would have scored you 2 points. It still wouldn't have won the game for you. Another great answer, though.
But what else could they have gone for?
Well, 2 great answers, really unlucky. There were lots of obscure pointless answers, but some of the ones people at home might have got. He was in Crossroads very briefly. Nobody said that. He was in Randall and Hopkirk, Deceased. He was in Wind in the Willows, played Mr. Toad in Wind in the Willows. Nobody said that. The BFG, he was the voice of the BFG. And more recently, he was Micawber. And he also exec produced and starred in a show called The Quest, sort of 2 years ago. Those would all have been pointless answers. So well done if you got any of those.
Well, bad luck, but you've been fantastic contestants. It's been great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for playing so well. Join us next time on Pointless, where we put more obscure knowledge to the test. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Richard.
Bye.
And goodbye from me.